I'm Niall from Sunpath Architects in Melbourne. I'm visiting Stockholm and I am in the grounds of the Royal Gardens in the Technical Museum to see this amazing Wisdome structure. This has been designed by Elding Oscarson Architects, and what it is it's a combination of cross-laminated timber and glue-laminated timber. So just entering through the entrance portico here, you can see we have these solid cross-laminated timber planes, and we go across sort of a bridge. You can see the courtyard in which it's built, and amongst these older structures that they retained. And so when you get in here, you can start to see how the structure is done. I think there's something like 24 of these columns. The columns are cast in concrete with loads of rebar inside those. And then on top of those, they've sat these amazing glue laminated columns. I'll go over here and you can see these in more detail. So the glue laminated timber columns, there's something like 300 layers on these ones. So 300 layers, each about 3 mil thick, is what makes up the size of that. And then they've used the same thing then on the beams around the perimeter. So you've really got two shapes here. You've got this mesh shell structure on the roof, and the mesh shell is made up of flat layers of glulam. So what happened was, when they built the podiums here for each of these glulam columns, they raised the columns and then they raised this in-beam structure around the edges, and then from there you can see they've screwed and connected each of these smaller action elements into place. Now, from what I understand, these were actually assembled as smaller pieces on site, and they were actually bent and clamped. So they were actually sort of like a ship would be built or a boat would be built. They were actually bent into shape on site in situ. So in between each of those, you just have spacer pieces folding them up, and then you weave the long one and the shorter span in this direction, and they overlap each other. So by overlapping like that, you get way more strength in the structure. So, as if that wasn't good enough in itself, it also has this geodesic dome constructed of cross-laminated timber triangular elements. And the triangular timber elements are all, of course, prefabricated and then erected in situ. And inside that, it's like a projection structure. You can see it on the sectional model here. And that's got a backlit projection, looks like a planetarium, with tiered terrace seating and all of the amazing lights and sound controls and stuff like that. So you've got this free external form, and that's also clad externally with timber shingles. And then outside that, you've got the decking, as you can see, that runs around here. So the roof overhangs, just protecting the timber in the simplest way possible. And you can see you've got these steel plates that house onto the columns, and the spacer pieces in between. It's just a beautiful project to look at, absolutely glorious. And with this free form, you got this higher volume in the center over the dome, and then it tapers out here. So it kind of recalls boat building, those traditional kind of huts and shelters you would have, where you would have woven a sort of lattice and daub type of construction. Also quite similar to like traditional basket weaving. So the great thing about this is Sweden embraces these traditional technologies, but also embraces the most modern technological methods. So of course this is all designed in a collaborative 3D BIM environment shared between the engineers and the architects, and the building construction project managers as well. So other cool things about the way this is built, it actually gives you space in there for all of your lighting, ventilation, everything like that, to run all that stuff in a sort of semi-concealed way. And you can see the projection, all of the speakers, lights, they're all up there, but you don't really notice them when you enter the space. The space is really calm. It's got a suspended timber floor with rock wool insulation inside it, and it's multifunctional, so there's different things going on in here. There's obviously a cafe, there's like private events being set up, and down at the dome itself there's actually being a private event. Now I've seen inside, I've taken pictures, I'll include them, but they're having a private company event where they're projecting something on the screen and they're using the sound system and the lights and stuff. So just pick up on some of the little details of the construction. We got little access hatches dotted around at regular intervals, and presumably there for getting into electrics and maintenance and stuff like that. Around the perimeter we've got really simple benches. You've got your heating system just tucked away underneath as radiators, just like that. All the pipework, network points, power points, all tucked in here. And then off this concrete plinth, we just have these lovely window seats all the way around. Yeah, so just take a walk around. This is a brilliant structure. And if you're anywhere near Stockholm, you definitely have to come and see this. It's just really inspiring. I hope to see more stuff like this at home in Melbourne and elsewhere as well. So I hope it really, sparks some enthusiasm for this kind of project. But like, cross-laminated timber is used everywhere. Like you can see, they built this kind of cafe kiosk out of it, and then one simple sliding timber element becomes a sliding shutter door, and just let it run past, and you've got some table storage and stuff at the end. And then you can see there's the older structure outside that's part of the original museum as well. That's a concrete wall. You walk in here and your eye just goes wow, and then you see the dome, you're like, I want to get in there. It's brilliant. The sound quality is nice as well. I mean, it's not acoustically dead here. It is inside the dome. They've got all the treatment and stuff in there, so as soon as they shut those doors you can't hear anything outside in this outer hall. But even in here it's quite calm, it's quite relaxed. It just makes people want to sort of sit down and enjoy it. And what a really amazing, beautiful building.